Genesis 6:4 There were giants, Nephilim, in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons, Ben, of God, Elohim, came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, Gibor, which were of old, men of renown. Genesis 6:5 And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Giants, Nephilim, properly, a feller, that is, a bully or tyrant, giant. Ben Elohim, sons of God. Mighty men, Gibor, powerful, by implication warrior, tyrant. Something very strange and unusual was occurring during the days of Noah. The Lord warned us that the last days would be the same as the days of Noah. Matthew 24:37 But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Matthew 24:38 For as in the days that were before the flood they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. I have often heard these verses from Matthew, chapter 24 being used to support the doctrine of pre-tribulation rapture. People say, look, people are eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, so everything is normal when Jesus comes back, therefore, Jesus must come back before the tribulation because it surely won't be normal after the tribulation. These pre-tribulation rapture believers are missing the whole context of what Jesus was saying. If you understand the context, everything will be very abnormal when Jesus comes back. Just like in the days of Noah. Genesis 6:1 And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. Genesis 6:2 That the sons of God, Ben Elohim, saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. We see that the context of marriage in the days of Noah was describing the marriage between the sons of God Ben Elohim and the daughters of men. In the Old Testament, the term sons of God is always used to describe angels. Job 38:7 When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God, Ben Elohim, shouted for joy. In the New Testament, the term sons of God is always used to describe the saints of God. This makes perfect sense because Jesus said that the saints of God would be like the angels at the resurrection. Matthew 22:34 In the resurrection they neither marry, nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. Jesus specifically said that the angels do not marry, therefore, when the Ben Elohim, or sons of God, took wives in the days of Noah, it is obvious that they were in rebellion against the will of God. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men and beget us children. It is clear, both from the Bible and from our own observation of nature, God does not approve any attempts at genetically mixing different species. Leviticus 18:23 Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto, it is confusion. Leviticus 18:24 Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled which I cast out before you. Leviticus 18:25 And the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomits out her inhabitants. Deuteronomy 20:17 But thou shalt utterly destroy them, namely, the Hittites, and the Amorites, the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. Apparently, the Canaanites were successful in their demonically inspired attempts at cross-speciation, because the reports by the 12 men who were sent by Moses to spy out the land of Canaan terrified the children of Israel. Numbers 13:32, 13:33, And they spoke ill of the land, which they had viewed, before the children of Israel, saying, the land which we have viewed, devours its inhabitants, the people that we beheld are of a tall stature. Numbers 13:33, 13:34, there we saw certain monsters, Nephil, of the sons of Anak, of the giant, Nephil, kind, in comparison of whom, we seemed like locusts. I believe the Douay-Rheims Bible interpretation of Nephil as monsters gives us a better description of how the Nephil actually appeared to the children of Israel. Not only were the Nephil extremely large, but they were probably malformed in appearance. Imagine how successful an army would be if they were accompanied onto the battlefield by giants and monsters out of mankind's worst nightmares. We have hints of what the Nephil looked like from the mythos of ancient cultures' descriptions of centaurs, satyrs, minotaurs, and chimeras. These mythical creatures were usually part human and part animal. They were usually faster, stronger, and bigger than an ordinary human being. However, what if these mythical creatures were real? Berossus speaks of a city about Lebanon, called Enos, which was a city of giants, who were men of vast bodies, and of great strength, inventors of arms and music, were cannibals, and exceedingly debauched. I believe a sure sign that the world has entered into the last days is the advent of genetic engineering or genetic modification that began to rapidly develop in the early to mid-1970s. In the 1970s, scientists began to cut genetic material from one species and splice it into another species. The resultant biological technology was referred to as recombinant DNA. DNA equals deoxynucleic acid. The new technology was hailed as the dawn of a new era for humanity. Human insulin and human growth hormone DNA was inserted into genetically modified bacteria, and biotech companies began producing cheap and abundant supplies of human hormones in giant vats to treat diabetics and people with various growth disorders. These days most of our staple foods are genetically modified organisms or GMOs. Only God knows what these foods are doing to us. Now, nearly 50 years later, new genetic tools have made genetic modification and the creation of completely new and unknown organisms surprisingly easy and cheap. Scientists now use a genetic engineering tool called clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats or CRISPR-Cas9 for short. A simple version of the CRISPR/Cas system, CRISPR/Cas9, has been modified to edit genomes. By delivering the Cas9 nuclease complexed with a synthetic guide RNA, GRNA, into a cell, the cell's genome can be cut at a desired location, allowing existing genes to be removed and/or new ones added. With the help of CRISPR and another genetic tool called germ drives, it is possible to permanently change, or completely wipe out, an entire species population within a few generations. Theoretically, scientists could combine CRISPR with a gene drive to alter the genetic code of a species by attaching a desired DNA sequence onto such a favored gene before releasing the animals to mate naturally. Together the tools could force almost any genetic trait through a population. Now for the really scary part. Do-it-yourself biology is already a reality. Soon it will almost certainly be possible to experiment with a CRISPR kit in the same way that previous generations of garage-based tinkerers played with ham radios, rudimentary computers, or chemistry sets. It makes sense to be apprehensive about the prospect of amateurs using tools that can alter the fundamental genetics of plants and animals. You can now buy a DIY bacterial gene engineering CRISPR kit for $150 online. Translators have rendered 7 different Hebrew words by the one-term giants, Nephilim, Gibborim, Anakim, Rephaim, Emim, and Zamzumim. It is fairly obvious that the original translators of these multiple strange Hebrew words into the English word giant simply could not comprehend what the children of Israel were encountering when they set about to conquer the land of Canaan. Numbers 13:31 But the men that went up with him said, We be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. Numbers 13:32 And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, The land, through which we have gone to search it, is a land that eats up the inhabitants thereof, and all the people that we saw in it are men of a great stature. Numbers 13:33 And there we saw the giants, Nephil, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, Nephil, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Therefore, I believe the Nephil were much stranger than simply freakishly big humans. The Nephil were truly monsters. The Nephilim appeared in the days of Noah, just before God destroyed the whole earth with a flood. They also appeared in the land of Canaan, and they were waiting to resist the children of Israel when they set about to conquer the promised land. I suspect the Nephilim will appear again in order to resist the manifestation of the sons of God and the second coming of Jesus Christ. Luke 21:26 Men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Luke 21:27 And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Luke 21:28 And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up, and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws nigh. If you find this content educational, please like and subscribe. Thanks.